What's up everyone, I'm Dan and thanks to Indie Pups for the review code for TetherGeist on the Nintendo Switch systems. TetherGeist is a challenging puzzle platformer that combines tight movement, clever level design, and an emotional story into something that feels familiar to fans of games like Celeste, while still carving out its own identity through its astral projection mechanics and heartfelt world building. Right from the opening moments, TetherGeist stands out visually. The vibrant, colourful pixel art style gives every area a distinct personality, from airy caves and spiritual ruins to hazardous industrial sections packed with moving traps and environmental dangers. The environments are filled with detail without becoming visually overwhelming, and the character portraits during story moments add an extra layer of charm and emotion. It manages to feel cozy and inviting even while the game is repeatedly throwing brutal platforming challenges your way. The core mechanic revolves around May, a shaman who can use astral projection abilities to separate her spirit from her physical body. This tether ability is what makes TetherGeist so interesting. You're constantly using it to bypass obstacles, solve environmental puzzles, and navigate dangerous hazards that would otherwise be impossible to cross. It is a brilliant mechanic because it doesn't just feel like a gimmick bolted onto a platformer, the entire game is built around it. As May projects her spirit outward, her physical body remains vulnerable and slowly drifts downward, meaning positioning and timing become incredibly important. Because your character is always moving and floating while tethered, you need quick reflexes and fast decision making to survive some of the later levels. There are moments where you're juggling moving hazards, spikes, disappearing platforms, and narrow gaps all at once, and it creates a constant sense of tension that keeps you fully engaged. Thankfully, the controls are extremely responsive, which is vital for a game this demanding. Platformers like this can become frustrating very quickly if the movement feels sluggish or imprecise, but TetherGeist avoids that almost entirely. Jumping, dashing, and activating abilities all feel sharp and reliable, allowing failures to feel like your own mistakes rather than the game cheating you. That responsiveness becomes especially important during some of the more intense tethering sequences where split-second reactions are required. The game introduces new mechanics steadily throughout its roughly 10-hour campaign, helping things stay fresh from beginning to end. Beyond the standard astral projection, you unlock a variety of different spiritual abilities that completely change how you approach puzzles and traversal. Some let you dash across dangerous terrain, while others allow you to bounce between walls or blast through obstacles. One of the best aspects of the design is how much each new mechanic gets enough time to evolve before another is introduced. The developers clearly understand pacing, and this works really well for the game. The level design itself is incredibly clever. Each stage feels handcrafted to push your understanding of the mechanics further, introducing fresh hazards and new combinations of abilities at a steady pace. There are anti-astral zones that block your powers, dangerous environmental traps, and spirit-devouring enemies that force you to think quickly under pressure. The game constantly challenges both your reflexes and problem-solving skills, creating a satisfying balance between puzzle solving and demanding platforming. TetherGeist is also hard, really hard. This is the sort of game where death becomes part of the learning process and you're going to fail repeatedly. Thankfully, instant respawns and generous checkpoint placement prevent that difficulty from becoming exhausting. Levels are broken into manageable challenge rooms, so even after a particularly brutal sequence, you never lose huge amount of progress. That fast retry system keeps the pacing smooth and addictive. Even after dying dozens of times on a difficult section, I usually wanted to immediately try again rather than quit in frustration. That said, there are a couple of moments where the difficulty crosses over into irritation. Some pipe navigation sections feel noticeably less precise than the rest of the game, occasionally causing movement inputs to feel awkward and inconsistent. In a game built around precision platforming, even small frustrations become noticeable quickly. Thankfully, these moments are relatively rare, but they do stand out because the rest of the game just feels so much polished. Outside of the gameplay, TetherGeist tells a surprisingly emotional story. May's journey centers around completing a spiritual pilgrimage that others in her village can complete easily due to their unrestricted astral projection powers. Because May's tether limits her abilities, she has to find her own way forward. The game handles its theme of disability, self-worth, and feeling different with genuine care and maturity whilst never feeling forced. What makes the narrative work so well is how naturally those themes connect to the gameplay itself. May's limitations are not just mentioned in cutscenes, they directly shape how you play the game. Every difficult obstacle and every successful solution reinforces the idea that May simply has to approach challenges differently rather than being incapable. It creates a strong emotional connection between the player and the character that gives the adventure much more weight than a standard platformer. The soundtrack is also well done and complements the game's atmosphere. The music shifts between calming emotional tracks during quieter moments and more intense pieces during high-pressure platforming sequences, helping amplify both the story and the gameplay. TetherGeist may draw comparisons to Celeste because of its precision platforming and emotional storytelling, but it absolutely succeeds in standing on its own. The astral projection mechanics are unique, the level design is consistently inventive, and the emotional core gives the journey real substance. Combined with responsive controls, clever puzzles, and a beautiful pixel art presentation, this is an easy recommendation for fans of challenging platformers. It is challenging, occasionally rage-inducing, and sometimes it can feel exhausting, but it is also incredibly rewarding. TetherGeist is the kind of game that pushes your patience and reflexes to their limits while still making you desperate to keep going. For puzzle platformer fans on the Nintendo Switch, this is one spiritual journey well worth taking. TetherGeist is out now on the Nintendo eShop, priced at $12.99 in the UK and $16.99 in the US. Big thanks to you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the review, don't forget to hit that like button, and until next time.